What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and there was a press conference about the imploded Titanic sub today, and I don't know about you all, but I find that really odd. Why, you ask? Well, for one, at the last press conference, they announced that there would be no more press conferences. And here we are on a Sunday of all days, and I'm not saying that press conferences can't happen on a Sunday, but usually they would schedule this for a different day, especially considering the fact that there is no new news. Now, the reason why I feel this press conference is so odd is because we now know that they knew all along that this sub imploded. And instead of being transparent with that information, they drug the story along for basically a whole entire week. And in my opinion, kind of used it as a distraction to distract people from a lot of what was going on. There was a heavy news cycle going on last week. And, everyone was focused on the sub. Now, of course, people can pay attention to multiple things at once. I know I was. But a lot of the other news that was coming out, it's not necessarily stuff that I would talk about on this channel. But yeah, they basically used this story to their advantage. So seeing as there's a press conference now on a Sunday, it's been a couple of days, and I don't know, it looks like the Russian Civil War didn't go too well, so that's not going to be dominating headlines. So now they got to reverse back to the sub story, and they're going to have a press conference talking about what they're going to do to recover the pieces of this sub. And, in my opinion, for one, I didn't even want to watch the press conference because I'm at this point in life where almost everyone and everything is skating on thin ice with me. Y'all had the audacity to come up here in front of the microphone for a few days straight talking about, we heard tapping sounds and we did this, when you knew the damn sub imploded. So honestly, I don't really give a damn what y'all have to say anymore. All of y'all look bad, if you ask me. And if I were y'all, I would stop putting my face on the cameras now, because now everyone's looking at y'all sideways like, y'all really got up here answering questions, acting like y'all were going to save these people, this and that, talking about the oxygen, talking about this. Meanwhile, y'all knew that they were dead, and y'all knew they were dead on day one. But hey, they started talking about the recovery efforts, and in my opinion, leave the stuff down there. There's no bodies left. We know that. There's little pieces of this sub. In my opinion, leave it down there. It's almost weirdly poetic in a way. That you will be forever immortalized as part of the Titanic wreckage now. A lot of people on board that sub, they were Titanic people. They loved the Titanic. Mr. Titanic was on board. Leave the pieces of the sub right down there with the Titanic. There's no reason to bring them up. You're spending money, risking lives even possibly, to gather the remains of this sub. Like, we got to do tests to figure out what went wrong. I already know what went wrong. We're going to spend $4 million to figure out what went wrong with the OceanGate sub. Well, maybe it was because it was made of carbon fiber. Or maybe it was because the one window on this thing, that for some reason someone decided the one window we have on this craft, we're going to put it right by the toilet. It can only go to depths of 1,300 meters. Y'all took your damn sub down like almost 4,000 meters? And it's controlled by a $29.99 controller from Amazon. You don't need to do an investigation to figure out what went wrong, okay? I'm sitting here in my spare bedroom next to a popcorn machine. Oh, okay, now we know what went wrong with the sub. I don't need $1 million in investigation. Common sense tells you what went wrong with the sub. Am I right or am I right? But of course, they're going to figure out a way to spend tons of money on this. Oh God, we got to run it all through the test. We got to do this, whatever. Anyways, so all of that is going on, but another crazy piece of information came out. I don't know, considering the fact that all of you all are on YouTube, most of you all have probably heard of Mr.Beast. He's like the biggest YouTuber. I don't really watch him. He makes content that I think is mainly for, I don't want to say for kids. I've seen some of his videos and they're entertaining. But when I watch YouTube, I usually watch something with substance that I can gain knowledge from. As far as Mr.Beast goes, though, he does make fun videos and he's like the biggest YouTuber in the world. Well, it turns out that he was invited to ride on this sub and he was about to be on that sub. I am really surprised that Mr.Beast turned down the opportunity. He's always doing something, extravagant in his videos. Maybe it would have made for a good video, but he was supposed to be aboard the sub, or at least he was invited. And I don't know if he turned it down or if there was scheduling conflicts or what, but Mr.Beast would have been aboard that sub. Think about that. The impact that would have had on pop culture. Don't get me wrong, losing everyone that we lost on the Titan sub, it was a big deal. It sent shockwaves through many corners. There's a lot of people who are going to be affected. I know the diving and the submersible community, they're really affected. All of the Titanic aficionados, I know they were good friends with the people on board. So, their deaths sent shockwaves through various industries. You know what I mean? However, Mr.Beast, think about the biggest YouTuber in the world being aboard that craft when it imploded. This story would have gone to a whole nother level. A whole entirely different level. And Mr.Beast is really lucky that he was not on that ship. And I think that everyone's lucky because I don't know what would have happened to these people at OceanGate if something happened to Mr.Beast and his fan base went crazy, because he's got the biggest fan base on YouTube. But yeah, it's so odd thinking about the situation. It's crazy in itself, but thinking about all of these people who were on death's doorstep. This is just the latest person to come forward with, the information like, hey, I was invited. I was supposed to be on that thing. Being in that position, it has to feel unreal. And I just hope that these people don't let this fly over their head. Do not let it go. You need to dwell on that for a minute and really be appreciative. You know what I mean? Really be appreciative that you're still here. Because it could have been anyone with $250,000 to spare on that sub. It could have been anyone that was a billionaire, Anyone, literally. Anyone that's a billionaire. But, there's a lot of billionaires that dodged a bullet here. And part of me wonders, hey, and I don't think this is the case, but I wonder, were one of these other billionaires supposed to be on board? And then they weren't? Then they weren't? Did that ruin someone's plans to take them out? You never know. I'm telling you, when there's this much money involved, and there's that much money on that one sub, when you think about the net worth of all of these people, it really makes me start wondering. I'm telling you, money is the root of all evil. You get enough people in a room together that got a lot of money, you need to be worried. I am telling you right now, there is something weird going on in our world right now. There is this shift, and it is not safe to be someone with money and power right now if you're not someone who bends the knee to all of this extra new stuff that they're trying to introduce into the world. So yeah, there's a lot more information that we have to go over. I thought it was interesting that Mr.Beast, of all people, was going to be aboard this ship, and luckily he did not go. But even I feel like this is kind of insightful as well, because it seems as if this Stockton Rush dude was trying to get YouTubers aboard. He was trying to get YouTubers aboard that sub to try to, I guess, market it to other people, because throughout the last few days when I've been looking into this story, I've found a few YouTubers who have been on board this sub, and I find it kind of weird, and I don't know. One thing I'm wondering, did these YouTubers fork over $250,000 to get on this sub, or did he give them free spots in order for them to promote this sub to other people? Either way it goes, Stockton Rush was trying to get people aboard that vessel. And we know now that Stockton Rush, people thought that he was really confident in his creation. And I'm not saying that he wasn't, but he also knew. You know, don't let that confidence and that overconfidence fool you. Stockton Rush knew that things weren't necessarily going right. And instead of taking the necessary precautions, he just wanted to keep going. He wanted to go full steam ahead. And I really wonder why. I wonder if this dude was suffering from some money issues, or was this just an ego problem? What was it? What was it that ultimately made him get on that sub that morning with all of those other people, knowing that his sub was creaking, cracking under the pressure? Let me know your thoughts about this, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I will talk to you all in the next video.